Man, what's happening? Something I've been thinking about. I mean, I've been thinking about it for a while. I just been haven't had a chance to put it on the video yet, but it reminded me of when my grandfather told me about in Vietnam. They used to shoot, or in the National Guard, they would shoot. Basically, he said salt mortars with salt in them into the sky, and he goes like an hour later, it would rain. And I was like, well, nowadays they call us crazy when we say that they can control the weather. You know what I'm saying? By electrical means and hidden black budget technologies. And this is proven. You know what I'm saying? It's like just with me with this stupid smartphone and its camera, I've caught many phenomena in the sky like scalar. So what I heard is what it's called, scalar wave. But I watched them basically etch. I call it the etch a sketch effect. It's where they seed the clouds with all these chemtrails, and then all of a sudden the cloud draws in all these clouds, and then all of a sudden they beam it, and you can watch these waves go through it. It's almost like when you throw a stone in water, and you see all those waves go out in that certain pattern where there's a wave, and then there's a space and a wave and a space and a wave and a space and a wave and a space and a wave, and it's all like mathematically uh, uh, precise. You know, math is an exact science. Okay, so when you see these waves come in the sky and they're all mathematically like the same amount of space from each other, you can see that particular wave pattern, that frequency and that wave pattern. You can tell something's going on there. You know what I'm saying? It's not the wind didn't do it. It's some kind of magnetic, or you know what I'm saying, electromagnetic phenomenon going on. But anyway, when I was a kid, I remember I used to go to the beach, or I'd be out, somewhere out in public, and you'd look up in the sky, and they'd have these little planes that would go, and it would say like, uh, Josh and Lynn married, just married, and it'd say congrats, like they would, or shop at this location. It used to be a way to advertise, and they go and spray these lines in the sky, basically, but it was called skywriting. And I noticed they don't do that anymore. But now we got this phenomena of chemtrails, and once again, it's like, they'd be like, "Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you think they be writing in the sky? You think they be trying to make lines and put chemical in the sky? I mean, they really. Oh, you're crazy. You believe that they can ray beam the sky? Well, I mean, look at the HAARP. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what that is. Is that they put energy in the sky? I mean, listen, just to just some dude on the street, you don't need to get all deep into the high active high active Aurora research facility. They don't even need to know all that. Basically, you could just say it's a machine that shoots a lot of energy into the sky, and it does stuff. I mean, when you listen, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. So if you take 1 billion megawatts of energy and beam it into one point in the sky, well, that's not just going to do it nothing. There's an effect. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't have to be, a theoretical physicist. You don't really need to be that to grasp what's going on. I mean, you might not. It's like you ain't know exactly what's going on, but you know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's not. Like I said, they really try to mystify it and make it all like they try to make you think that you lack the mental capacity to understand anything about this science. So you just let us do the thinking for you. When it's like, nah, you can give me just a basic rundown of the stuff, and you know what I'm saying. It's like the fact that you act like, you know what I'm saying. You present it like it's so. It's like yeah, you lack the mental capacity to understand anything about this, so just don't think about it at all. That right there that's just a mind trick where they try to stump you before you ever try to stomp you off Jump Street. Oh, we could. There's nothing we could ever do about that. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the truth. Is if you don't, if you with that attitude, there isn't nothing you can do. But I mean, if you just, you never know. You just can blab to the right person, and it could cause a chain reaction where something good will happen. Like people will have, see, when you don't know what's going on, they're doing it without your consent, and at least you can withdraw your consent. You know what I'm saying? Like me making videos like this, I withdraw my consent. I don't like to be experimented on, and it seems like it's got some military applications where everyone's brainwave works off the 8 megahertz frequency, and this thing operates in the same frequency range. So therefore, we're all affected by the Earth, which goes off the same 8 hertz frequency. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, once again, it doesn't take a rocket science to be like, all right, it's like you got a bunch of radios that all work off the same frequencies. So all these things can tune into this thing, and now you're the machine with the antenna that's shooting out the stuff, and we are all the basically the radios out here, and it's just like, they can fine tune it so they can basically hit us. It can hijack the Earth's natural 8 hertz frequency, and it can tweak it so that you get a mass reaction from everyone that's affected by the frequency. Deep crazy shizzle, but it's kind of funny, because it's like any kids these days, because this happened at least 25 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I used to see skywriting. I haven't seen it in that long. So kids that are like 22, 23, 24, they might not even never have seen skywriting at all. So when I talk about that, they'd have to take my word for it. And they might just say, no, we don't believe you. We didn't learn that in school. They must not have did that. You're just schizophrenic. That's the type of mindset that they teach people these days. Like, it's like basically you have to say what the majority says. And if anyone who goes away from that is just, they just call you names. Like, listen, if they can't disprove you or whatever, or if you say something different from what they believe, it's like, we'll just deny it, lie about it, and then we'll start to slander you. Say you're stupid, you're crazy. Oh, you sound like a terrorist. You must be a radical. Did you even graduate? They'll do all these roundabout ways to try to chip away at your confidence and the stuff that you have seen. Your eyewitness testimony. They would rather believe that they are so smart and that they're so righteous in the things that they've been told and they can repeat, that you who just try to just throw in your observations. Because I mean, it's the same thing. It's like people don't want to listen to the old timers' stories and their life experiences. And I mean, it's like, how dumb is that? Because the people, just the fact that their age, you can always say, well, you like, all right, they're 60, I'm only 30, 36. Well, that dude's lived damn near double my lifetime, so he might know some things that would help me out. He might have been through some things that I'm going to go through, or we've been through the same things anyway. But, I mean, they try to, it's like, just because it's just like my grandpa from Vietnam was telling me in the National Guard that they would they'd seed the clouds with mortars. And it was like, wait a second, they're telling me they want to deny that they can control the weather. They could do that back in the 60s. It's the same thing like I'm saying now about the skywriting in the 80s. In 80s or early 90s. I can't even remember exactly, but it was for surely in the 80s. But same thing. People like the new school, the kids from now under Common Core, they would listen. They wouldn't want to hear that. They'd be like, "Oh, that's outdated. That's old, outdated understanding, man. That doesn't apply anymore." So it's like same thing. If I would have had that attitude when my grandpa told me about the cloud seeding in the 60s or 70s, whenever that was, it made it that much easier to understand that there is a weather war conspiracy, and that there is indeed a chemtrail conspiracy as well. And it's even coming out now. Now they're doing damage control, PR damage control, trying to release it as if, they didn't know what was going on all this time. Just like the Flint water. They knew it was going on a year previously. to when this is being released now that everyone knew and everyone's guilty. Uh, it's crazy, man. This stuff is crazy. But yeah, skywriting. I mean, I don't know if people remember that, but if you apply skywriting, the fact that you don't see it anymore, but we see these chemtrails, it's a good way to prove to people that want to deny altogether that has anyone ever thought of writing in the sky or using, you know what I'm saying, like clouds of smoke to put stuff in the sky. I mean, even just like the blue beam, say they make a giant cloud that looks like a spaceship. Well, they're gonna need to use some kind of they're. I mean, in order to fake something, man, you gotta have a system that can make it work, man. And it's kind of like almost like think of a projector screen. Well, if you shot a projector screen up in the sky and it was clear, there'd be nothing to reflect the reflector screen off. So what if you could make a film in the sky that would it would be like the right screen that they pull down to use the projector, like where they got the slides and the pictures. Or just imagine that. Just they gotta make a cloud because they can't wait on nature. Nature's too unreliable, so they got these planes, with big aerosol cans hooked up on the bottom of them, and they just fly and like skywriting, just like drawing a big picture with planes that are like big planes, and the back trail is like the spray can, like those guys that do graffiti. It's like you think of it as graffiti in the sky, and they're doing it, to block out the sun, or you could think this certain aerosol compound can retain more heat than the open air, or this particular mixture can reflect the rays as opposed to letting them absorb into the earth. I mean, it's, like I said, once again, even this environmental eco science, you don't have to be a theoretical physicist to really understand it, man. I mean, you could just really just start by having a small flower bed garden, and you would start to understand how the water and the sun and the air and the stuff and how it kind of works together. And then you can build off of that knowledge and start to look up and be like, well, why would they? What would be the benefit to doing these things? And then you can go through your mind and make a little list and be like, well, they could do this with it. And then you can check them off. Be like, well, that one wasn't. Make a list of if something doesn't I'm just saying there's ways you can get your own understanding of this stuff to where it's just basically common sense. It's just really obvious. It's not. I mean, sometimes they try to hide it behind all the scientific mysticism, but it's really just common sense, man. I mean, most scientific things, like the most complex, the most scientific things, are really built on a few common sense principles like constants. Just a few variables like that are very simple things by themselves, but when you see the interplay of these different constants, it gets a little bit more tricky. But I mean, it's not unobtainable, to have a decent understanding of these things and why they work, and see once again the interplay of them.